morning on this noisy day here on Main Street, Fort Mill. Been a few weeks. Things are going well. Been busy with some fun freelance work, as I've said. I just wanted to take a minute and plug a classic written 330 BC, Aristotle's Poetics. Look how thin it is. It's like, Aaron Sorkin calls it a pamphlet, and he actually calls it the manual for screenwriting. If you're a writer, if you're a filmmaker, if you're a storyteller, if you're an artist of any kind, it could be visual, it could be performance, it could be literary arts. But where you utilize story, and you could argue all art is story, but regardless, this is a must-read. I'm teaching at a retreat, a visual arts retreat in a few weeks, and I'm doing a session on film as visual poetry, and this is going to be our text for part of it. So I'm rereading this, and it's blowing my mind at how simple and foundational it is. And I only read it for the first time within the last couple years. I didn't read it in college, didn't read it in high school, but it is so foundational. I mean, let me give you an example for how foundational we're talking. Aristotle defines what a beginning is. A beginning is that which does not itself follow anything by casual necessity, but after which something naturally is or comes to be. You can't get more foundational than defining what a beginning, middle, and end is. And it sounds so simple, but it's really actually quite profound, at least in our age, where we take for granted the elements of story. A beginning is that which does not itself follow anything casually. You're starting your story somewhere, and there's a reason. How about this, where he talks about the whole purpose of poetry, which is not what we think of as, rhyme and meter, but as poetics includes stage, performance art, plays, epic poetry, which was their form of, a written novel. So any written or performed or art is really encompassed in poetics. And he even spent a lot of time comparing it to painting, which was the other big art form of the day. It's really, really interesting. Here's something he says. It follows that we must represent men either as better than in real life, or as worse, or as they are. So he's talking about our art. We're representing mankind. And we're either doing it in one of three ways. We're either representing man as better, or as worse, or as they are. That's really profound if you think about how you tend to represent people in your art. He defines the difference between tragedy and comedy, which have really become reduced over the years. Comedy's funny, tragedy's sad. That's not at all what tragedy and comedy is. In its really distilled form, comedy is about character, tragedy is about an event, or an action, as he calls it. And he talks about why we love poetry. I would say maybe art. He doesn't really use the word art. He uses poetry maybe when he means art, but it's this idea of imitation. Poetry, our stories, are imitation. Either an action or character, tragedy or comedy, and often a little bit of both. And that imitation is reflecting life as it is, as it should be, better than it should be, worse than it should be. And the reason we love poetry, we love art, is because we learn by imitation. He talks about how even a child imitates and then learns. And because we like learning, humans enjoy learning. You maybe think, well, I hate learning. No, you maybe hated school, but we all love learning. And we learn by imitation, and art is imitation. Therefore, we love art, or we love art where we learn. And different people learn from different art forms. I've been loving getting back into it as I prepare for this teaching that I'm doing, and I can't recommend it enough. And look, if you're gonna attempt to write story, get the manual, Aristotle's Poetics. It's $3 on Amazon right now. This little guy, $3, shipped free. You can find it for free online because it's, 2,500 years old. But I love having it so I can, mark it up and underline it. You can read it in literally like a couple hours. Enjoy.